Hey everyone, Eric Jones, Director of Sales and Marketing for Freedom Real Estate Group, talking to you today about classification of properties. So you've probably heard someone say an A-class property or a B-class property, and what does it mean? Well, the answer isn't really so concrete. Many stick to age when they're defining. The traditional definition of a class of property is done by age. So something within the last 15 years is an A-class property, something 15 to 30 years old is a B-class, and anything over 30 years old is a C-class. Well, here's why it doesn't work. So there's a neighborhood in Dayton, Oakwood. It is one of the most prestigious areas to live, excellent school districts. It's great. The average price of a home there is between $350,000 and $500,000, so $500,000. And the average age is 90 years old. So if we're going by the traditional anything over 30 years old is C-class, well then Oakwood would be a C-class, and it doesn't really work. Dayton is an older, more established city. A lot of Midwestern cities are. So the properties closer to downtown, closer to the urban core where everyone wants to be, is going to be older. It's not going to be the newer construction properties. Those are located farther out in the suburbs. So with all that being said, here's an idea of how we classify properties. An A-class property, these are newer construction homes. They're going to start around $200,000. And the reason we don't necessarily invest in these neighborhoods is because if you're buying the home for $200,000, you would want it to rent for at least $2,000 to meet that 1% rent to value ratio. Well, most of the time you're not going to be able to get that. And $200,000 is just the starting point at A-class in this area. Like we just talked about with Oakwood, they go up to $500,000. So it's not likely someone's going to rent for $5,000 or $6,000 a month. It would make more sense to buy, right? So B-class. These are neighborhoods that we're investing in a lot. B-class properties, these are going to be older homes. The price ranges with us are usually between $95,000 up to $120,000. They're in good or excellent school districts. Crime rate's low. The neighborhood may still be mainly owner occupied, but you're going to see more rentals than a traditional A-class neighborhood. Renter demand is high based on the school districts, the low crime rate, location, desirable neighborhoods. Examples that you're going to see on our website are Kettering, Miamisburg, West Carrollton, Belmont, and parts of Franklin and Middletown. Those are the neighborhoods that we're investing in and are solid B-class properties. So C-class, these are older homes as well. And a lot of investors or turnkey providers rate everything based on an A to C scale. We rate everything based on an A to D, even F scale. So our C-class properties are probably slightly better than some other markets. I've often had market tours where clients are coming into town and I show them our C-class neighborhoods and they're like, whoa, the other markets I've been to would say this is B-class. And that's highly likely. We're just a little bit more critical of our neighborhoods. So anyway, price ranges for C-class are between about $65,000 to $90,000. They're in average school districts, relatively low crime rates. With us, these are not war zones, so we do not invest in those areas. These are areas that are going to be more equally owner-occupied to renters. Renter demand is high in these areas based on the price point location. So the rent's going to be a little bit less. Also, the purchase price is a little bit less. Generally, these areas are closer to downtown, which is a great selling point. In comparison, these properties usually cash flow a little bit better than B-class. However, B-class is possibly going to appreciate a little better. So it's a trade-off there. In terms of tenants, you might see a longer staying tenant in a B-class property and possibly less damage at turnover, but that's not always the case. We've had 5-year tenants in a C-class property that were very clean and tidy. So it's not always the case that a B-class property is going to mean you have a great tenant who is clean and stays for 10 years. It could happen in C-class too. It's almost luck of the draw with tenants. You know, you can do your best to filter and go through all the proper checks, but at the end of the day, if someone's not clean and not tidy, it doesn't necessarily matter how much money they make a year to qualify and where they live. So D-class, areas we do not invest in. School districts are below average, crime rates are higher, and the crime rates committed in these areas are a little more vicious, serious, is that the right word? Like murder, armed robbery, arson, those kinds of crimes. We're not investing in those areas. You can get cheap properties there all day long. cheap properties that on paper cash flow really well, but you're going to have higher evictions, your turnover rate's going to be higher, and then also your turnover costs are going to be higher. Generally, you're also not going to get the tenant to pay the bill that you send them for the turnover. So in the end, it could really eat at all your cash flow. So it might not be the best neighborhood, and that's why we don't invest in it at all. So that's how we classify properties. B and C class is what we invest in mainly. There's an A class property that comes along that's a great deal. We're not going to pass it up. We will certainly pass up every D class awesome deal. We could get them all day long. We choose not to. We would never tell an investor to invest in those neighborhoods because they are not good for you long term. And that's what we're here for. Long term, cash flowing, awesome investment properties. So depending on your experience as an investor, it's going to depend whether you want to go with a B-class property or a C-class property. Some people think that C-class properties have a bit more risk than B-class. Possibly, maybe not in the neighborhoods we're investing in. We haven't seen too much of a difference from our B to Cs. Like I said, we're a little bit more harsh than maybe some other markets. So your C-class properties are still going to be great cash flowing assets. All right, so I hope that helps. As you're sifting through our inventory, you can see all of our inventory on our dedicated turnkey website, turnkeyohio.com, and you'll see listings on there that say Kettering, Miamisburg, Belmont, Dayton, Middletown, and that'll help give you an idea of what kind of class of property that neighborhood is, or that property is, and what kind of neighborhood it's in, and maybe give you an idea of where you want to invest and which property works best for you. As always, reach out to me, Eric, at freedomrealestategroup.com. And until next time, have an awesome day and happy investing.